Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Jess and I make up 50% of Double Dutch Crochet. My sister, Brianne, makes up the other 50%, and we're so happy to have you here today. For today's tutorial, we're going to be learning how to do the 3 most basic stitches in crochet. These stitches will give you the opportunity to make blankets, hats, scarves, even amigurumi, and they are the slip knot, the chain, and the single crochet. It's great to have these 3 stitches in your arsenal, and so without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do before we start our project is we're going to gather our yarn. So today I'm going to be using this Paintbox yarn. Now this is a size 4 yarn, and you can tell by this little number on the side of the ball of yarn. This number basically means what the weight of the yarn is. So the smaller the number, the thinner the yarn is going to be. And the bigger the number, the thicker the yarn is going to be. So this number 4 would be considered kind of a medium weight yarn. On the back of the ball here, you're going to see, just behind this tag, it's going to give you some suggestions for what needles you should use with this ball of yarn. So it suggests for crochet, we should be using a 5mm hook. So that's the yarn. Now I'm going to be using a 5mm hook as suggested by the ball of yarn. So this is the hook I'll be using. I would also suggest for any project that you start, you're going to want a pair of scissors, a darning needle, and you may need some stitch markers depending on what you're building and what you're making. So now that we have all of our materials and supplies, let's get started. Okay. So to start, we're going to learn how to do a slip knot. Now a slip knot is basically the first step in getting one loop on your hook, and that's how you're going to begin all of your chains and subsequent stitches after that. So everybody will do this a little bit differently. This is how I do it. You may find a different way that works better for you, and that's completely fine, but I'll show you the way that I do it. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to hold this strand of yarn. Now you do want a decent tail because this is what you're going to be using to weave in your ends at the end of whatever project you're building. So I'm going to grab the yarn with my thumb here on top of my 3 fingers, and I'm going to wrap the yarn around my pointer finger. Now I'm going to wrap it so I have an X on one side and 2 lines on the other side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up this front loop here, and I'm going to put it over top of the back loop and pull this back loop. Take my finger out and pull. And that's going to be my slip knot. Now what makes these the best is that they adjust based on how you pull them. So you put your hook on and you're going to pull the ends, and that's how you're going to have one loop on your hook. Let's do that one more time. So we're going to hold the yarn right here. We're going to wrap it around our pointer finger. So we have an X on the back and 2 lines on the top. We're going to pull this front loop up and over the back. We're going to grab this back loop, remove our finger, and pull. And there's your slip knot. We're going to insert our hook, pull these 2 tails until you have the correct tension that you want on your hook. And now we're ready to start our chains. So the chain is the foundation so that you can start your stitches. It's a pretty simple stitch, but sometimes it can be confusing, so we'll go really slow. So once again, everybody holds their yarn differently. I like to wrap my yarn around my pinky, and then I like to pinch my work with my pointer finger and my thumb, like this. So basically for the chain, we have 1 loop on our hook. We're going to yarn over, grab that piece of yarn. Now we have 2 on our hook, and we're going to pull through, and that's 1 chain. Okay, so now we still have 1 loop on our hook. We're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull through that loop. Now we have 2 chains. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Now, if you ever make a mistake in crochet, the great thing you can do is just pull it all out and you can start over. So we're going to start over. Okay, so we're going to chain 21 chains. So we're going to yarn over and pull through for 1. We're going to do that 21 times. Now keep in mind, you want to make sure your tension is not too tight, or else your project won't have enough space to add stitches into. So you want to not have it too loose, but also not too tight, okay? And we'll come back when we've got 21 chains. Okay, so now we have chained 21. So this is what your foundation chain should look like. So now we're going to work in a single crochet. Now, what you'll learn here about chains is that each chain consists of 3 strands of yarn. So you have the top loop and the bottom loop. And then on the back, you also have a 3rd loop right there. So when we're working into our chain, we're going to skip this first loop here. This is the 21st chain that we made. We're going to skip that chain. And we're going to work into this 2nd chain, into the top loop. So you'll have 2 loops on your hook. So now you're going to yarn over and pull through, so you'll have 2 loops on your hook. Then you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through both loops on your hook. And that's 1 single crochet. Now we're going to move on. So now we're going to go into this next chain space here. We're going to insert our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through both loops. We'll do that one more time. We're going to insert our hook into this next chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops. Now, because we skipped the first chain, we're only going to have 20 chains to do a single crochet into. So you're going to do 20 single crochets along the edge. Insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Insert, yarn over, pull through, or yarn over and pull through 2. Insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. All the way along this first. Now this first row can be the most difficult to be able to crochet into the chains. See, sometimes you just can't get your hook into that loop. But once you finish this row, it does get easier. So we're going to finish this row, and I will show you how we're going to make sure that we have enough stitches, because if you don't have enough stitches, that's usually where people start to mess up their projects, because their stitch counts are off, and it's usually the very last chain that people miss. Okay. So this is what our first row of single crochets looks like. So we have our chains on the bottom and our new stitches on the top. So we're going to count how many stitches we have. So if you look closely, each stitch has a V pattern. So that's one stitch. So that's how you can count your stitches. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So I only have 19. I have one more chain loop here to crochet into to make it 20. So insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through both. So now I have all 20 stitches on my chain. So that's one row. Now, most likely if you're going to be working with a chain and in rows, you're going to need to work back and forth to create your project. So to start the next row, we're going to have here, we have 2 loops here that are semi-open. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1. So yarn over and pull through 2, or pull through the 1 loop. And that's going to close off those 2. Now what we're going to do is flip our work. Now you'll see here there's a V. That's the chain we just made. So we're not going to work into that one. We're going to work into this first stitch. So now we're going to insert our hook under these 2 top loops of this stitch. We're going to yarn over and pull through those loops. So we have 2 on our hook. Yarn over and pull through both loops. And that's our first single crochet of this row. So insert these 2 loops, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. We're going to do that all the way across for all 20 stitches. And I'll meet you back here when we're all done. Okay, so here we have our second row. So let's count how many stitches we have. So this little loop here is our chain that we made. So we're going to start counting with the first V that we see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So this is the last stitch that we have to stitch into, and like I said, the most forgotten stitch. So just make sure you don't miss it. And it's usually the hardest stitch to get into, which is sometimes why it's missed. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And chain 1 to start the next row. And that is how you do a single crochet on a chain. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!